Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 104-99 loss to the Miami Heat, Ryker. This was a thriller. If there's one thing to say about the Toronto Raptors that at least played in this game, because not many of them played and we did have an injury, so we were essentially running a six-man rotation this game. They played their guts out against a Miami Heat team that I believe after tonight has become the first seed in the Eastern Conference. Even without Kyle Lowry, this is a tremendous performance for the Raptors. There are a lot of things that went into this, a lot of things to discuss, particularly some referees, some insane calls or no calls, some tough shots, some tough misses down the stretch of this one, but definitely made for a thrilling game, Ryker.
It's a series to look forward to because we play them again in 8 days, 7 days, something like that, and then another 2 weeks after that. So we have a real trilogy with the Heat, and they're going to be right there in the East along with the Raptors. No Lowry, no Gary Trent Jr. I know we played a tight rotation, but those are two key guys on either team. So there was nothing to be sad of in this game. And even if the Heat get better, the Raptors will get better when they're fully healthy. But Ben, let's jump right into the reps. You said reps and no calls. Those are one and the same. I'm typically the ref apologist. Let's both sound off because, well, let's see where we have to go with this. I don't want to spoil anything, Ben. You say what you have to say. I'll say what I have to say.
Well, I don't want to wait, as you said. I'm playing the Golden Kazoo, the one, the only, the infamous Golden Kazoo. Ryker starts sounding off on that early here because this, I'm not sure if I'm titling the video. I actually, you know what? I am. The Raptors were cheated out of this game because the amount of touch fouls, and I don't know the foul discrepancy, Ryker, if you want to sound off on that, quickly look through the box score, what the difference was, but the Raptors were getting the occasional touch
21 fouls on the Raptors. 18 fouls on the Heat. I thought I was looking at their turnovers. It was 12. I was going to say that's huge. It was pretty similar from just the total fouls called.
Right. Total fouls, they're close. Do you know why? Because the referees call a bunch of these touch non-shooting fouls for the Toronto Raptors. Great. It never gets us into the bonus. It never gets us shooting fouls. Just gets us to inbound the ball side and it oftentimes takes away our shots. However, the Golden Kazoo, the big one, is going to Caleb Martin, who was a game changer down in the stretch, should have been ejected from this one. He should have been removed, should have been kicked out of the building because he almost murdered our star rookie, Scottie Barnes. Went up, not only shoved him in the air, but as he's flying into some woman it looked like she lost a tooth or something, he gives him another shove into the crowd. I know it's a hectic thing. I don't know if it's on purpose, but 2 shoves while a guy that is that off balance is just blatant insanity to not give at least a flagrant one, and to rule it a common foul is absolutely ridiculous. Caleb Martin should be thrown out there. And then, you know, the grabs, the Raptors. I saw about five 3-pointers where we hooked it up, right, and then we were essentially tackled immediately after we shot the ball, and no calls. And then down the stretch of this game, Jimmy Butler gets a light tap, graze on his hip. OG isn't properly standing the correct position. He's leaning a little bit. And we get called for this stuff in shooting fouls and momentum swinging plays. It's been bad, Ryker. The last couple of games I've been
Don't say rarely.
No.
You always comment on the refs.
I criticize the refs on a consistent basis, usually. But I rarely say it affects the outcome of the game, because usually it's bad on both sides. The reffing has been atrocious this year. This one, whether the Raptors would have won or not, I feel cheated a little bit out of a crazy game with the Miami Heat.
Well, you know my stance on touch fouls, and I firmly disagree with you on touch fouls because whether it's confirmation bias or self-serving bias, obviously you're going to disagree when the calls don't go in the Raptors' favor. But when the ultimate total fouls called is relatively equal for either team, then I would say if you were a fan of the Heat, you'd also be complaining about touch fouls and calls that were missed. Where I do wholeheartedly agree with you in this one, you'll see no defense from me as 3 calls in particular. 1, no call down the stretch. Caleb Martin or whoever, no, it was Vincent on OG when he was backing down the post. Hand came right across the body. I don't know whether you want to call it poor positioning, because maybe the baseline ref was on the other side where he was shielded by OG's back. Maybe the sideline ref was also somehow shielded by a couple of other players. That's why you have 3 refs, Ben. One of the 3 should have saw that and called that down. And like they were saying on the broadcast, call it a foul or call it a travel. But to let him fall back on his butt, have a scramble for the ball, then call a jump, it was inadequate. Second, I didn't see all my stream was in and out. I didn't see all the fouls on 3-point attempts, but there was one where Chris Boucher got dummied, and it was obvious. He got absolutely, I don't know, like shoulder checked and no call. Luckily, Pascal got the offensive rebound, but that needs to be a call. I don't agree that Caleb Martin, or was it Vincent?
That was Martin.
They both had a foul on the chase down block attempt. That was a foul that was only a common foul. Was that Martin?
Yeah. Martin shoved him.
Yeah, so I don't agree. He should have definitely been kicked out of the game, because what you see a lot of the time, somebody gets a block. If there's a bit of contact after the block, you're not calling a foul, right? It's usually you're playing or you're contesting while the ball is going towards the rim. Was there contact after? Yeah. Was it dangerous that it should have warranted at least the flagrant one? Yes. Was it guaranteed a given that he should have been kicked out? No, but it was still a pretty bad missed call when you can't, like, I think Amy said it, you have to protect players, and especially when they're jumping up that high, going full speed, and somebody's going right into their back with the same momentum. Of course, it's going to end that way. They need to be penalized for it. So for once, guys, everybody watching this, me and Ben agree, the ref sucked in this one. There's other narratives in this, but that certainly is the prevailing one, because this was tough to watch.
Yeah, brutal to watch. I don't know how anyone could look at that and not give it a flagrant, but there's a lot of guys. We're 6 minutes into this video ranting on referees, but Ryker, let's get a drum roll going, because we ended it with some Scottie Barnes chat, so we may as well get that award rocking. Scottie Barnes award tonight. He's back, baby. Scottie Barnes, 6 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Now, he certainly made some mistakes, particularly down the stretch. Blew a pass to Siakam that should have been an easy bucket, like Gabe Vincent, whatever his name is, foul him. Had a couple weird possessions, couldn't grab the tip in, but other than that, I thought Scottie Barnes, even with the jumper coming in and out, knocked down a couple threes at the end of this game. I thought he played a really solid one, facilitating for people, driving in, the shot's not going down, getting right to the rim, and finishing over the bigs. They're in Miami. What did you see from Scottie Barnes tonight? And I feel like this is a return game from Scottie, because he looked like himself tonight, moving and all that.
Return to form, Ben. Yeah. That's what it looked like from the eye test. And this is a good game to get the embers lit under the whatever the expression is. I just butchered it. Whatever. Everybody probably knows what I'm trying to say here, because he's been a little bit passive in the last couple of games. And it's good to see the game that gets the spark going again is against the Miami Heat, a top team, I believe the top team now in the Eastern Conference. So while he didn't have the biggest box score, because our top 3 guys, again, had an amazing show out, it did look like a guy that played really well. And especially when we get Gary Trent Jr. back, that's a formidable starting 5, Ben.
Yep, no, without a doubt. The core of this team is looking amazing. Pascal Siakam tonight, 20 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds, 5 steals, a block. The defense from this whole defensive unit I thought was great. Keeping the Miami Heat to 104 points, given all the fouls that were called, is just remarkable, right? And Pascal's facilitating as of late has been awesome. They showed a graphic during the game about how Pascal is averaging, I think, 6.5 assists over the past month, which is pretty ridiculous for considering, he's evolving, adding that to that game. He's never been really known as a passer. Fred VanVleet did have some wild turnovers, 5 turnovers in this game, but 22 points, 4 assists, 4 steals, or 4 rebounds, 1 steal, but hit some deadly momentum swinging threes. Kyle Lowry-esque momentum swinging threes from deep, which is great. And I thought OG Anunoby didn't have the greatest performance tonight, 14 and 2. That's it for the starters. I know we're going to dive into Boucher, but do you have anything else to say about that starting unit? Precious also with 15 rebounds. Got to get a bit of propaganda going.
Well, Siakam, and this is Precious Achiuwa's return to Miami. Obviously, he was dealt in that Kyle Lowry trade, so he obviously was playing wanting to show out against his old team. And you could see he was playing that way too. To close the first half, he tried to make something happen. It was a bit of a disaster, but other than that, he played pretty strongly. And yeah, the assists, the overall game for Pascal Siakam, that's LeBron type numbers. 5 steals, 10 assists, 6 rebounds, 20 points, good efficiency. Definitely all-star numbers, definitely deserving of the max contract. It's great to be able to say that again, Ben. And then Fred VanVleet, OG, doing the things that they got to do. Came up a little bit short, and they said on the broadcast, Pascal Siakam's never afraid to go in, absorb contact, finish in the lane. Actually, if you chronicle it, he has been afraid, particularly against the Miami Heat, particularly against Bam Adebayo. He shrivels into a fraction of himself, but tonight it wasn't that. So they had their blinders on thinking he could always do this. No, it wasn't lost on me. I was expecting shy Siakam in this game, and he played pretty strongly, Ben.
Yeah, definitely. Siakam's been elite. We've been praising him to the moon, or whatever you want to say about it. We've been butchering phrases in this podcast right now. The adrenaline is going.
Rough. It's been rough.
The dawn is always darkest before the day. But Ryker, the last guy we have to talk about is Chris Boucher. 21 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks. 6 of 12 from the field, knocked down a couple. One just electrifying 3 that I'll leave for the spicy Pele of the day. But Boucher, he's huffing and puffing on the gift beside us, Ryker. But it's great to have at least one guy off the bench that is reliable, can come in and do some stuff for you, score around the rim, occasionally knock down some shots. He's been making threes in his last couple of games. Well, it's nice to have Boucher back. That's the only way to put it.
Nice to have Boucher back. It's good to have at least one player. Ben, that's the only player we had off the bench because obviously Champagny got an injury, only played 9 minutes in this one. Did come back and get on the court for a little bit towards the end of the game. But it is nice to see him back. It's not sustainable, though, Ben, to have Siakam playing 42. Fred VanVleet has logged probably his 5th or 6th 40-minute game in the last 10 games. And now Boucher playing 38 minutes in this one. It just can't be sustainable, particularly on a team. I've said the word particularly a lot, but just need to emphasize that the Raptors have been plagued with injuries in the past, and it'll be a real blow if a guy like Siakam or VanVleet has to go out again, given how disruptive it is to the chemistry and the overall direction of the team. So we need our guys to be healthy. I get that they want to play heavy minutes. We kind of need to play them heavy minutes, but that's where a guy like Trent Jr., it's going to be really good to have him back in the lineup, and we need production from one more guy. Maybe it's time to give Flynn some more run, Ben, or give him another chance. That's the only guy that has more tenure on the Raptors that did show when he was getting minutes, he could at least score. I know the rest of the guys, they've been disappointing. Maybe it's time to give Flynn a second chance.
Yeah, we got to figure out something. Obviously, Birch is a guy that's going to be in the rotation as well when he returns. So you have your.
What's the timeline? He just had his surgery today, I believe.
I've heard of players come back from nose injuries pretty quick or whatever. If I recall correctly, you get the mask on and you're good. I did an online Google search of it for your average rec basketball player that takes, and they said it's as you said, a month, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. Right, that's the timeline for intense activity to return. There's a lot of variable stuff online, but hopefully the NBA, they get the super masks so they can just come back right away. But we definitely need Birch, and that's probably why Masai Ujiri's on the phones right now, trying to acquire someone to come off this bench and do something dirty. But we'll leave all that stuff for the end chatter. Let's swing into we already got one segment out of the way, but tonight, the spicy Pele of the day, Ryker, and I alluded to it when we were brushing on Chris Boucher. This man, the Raptors were down. They needed a little momentum swinger. I'm not sure if they were down by 9 at this point, but they had a significant deficit. And then, you see Chris Boucher. I'm not sure if he even hit one yet in the game, but comes down off the dribble, above the break 3, contested, hoists it up. The Raptors haven't hit a shot in forever. Like, this is the worst possible shot. Okay. Chris Boucher swinging the momentum brought the Raptors back into it, doing the things that Chris Boucher did to save us last season. So that was great to see. Precious had a nice little Tim Duncan-esque bank shot early in this game, so I want to give that a shout out. Do you see anything in particular there, Riker, tonight?
Sounds good to me, Ben.
Yeah, and Freddie VanVleet obviously hitting a shot that could have potentially, well, I think it brought it within 3, and then PJ Tucker wasn't a lame-zo and hit a 3 against us at the end. Then it would have been fine. But Riker, not all plays can be the spicy Pele of the day, and some just make you say, "Oh, geez." And like the spicy Pele, there was a bunch of them in this one. Do you have anyone in mind before we rant through them all?
Well, the OGs and the Golden Kazoo, for me, they're very intertwined in this one, Ben. Poor refereeing, because it really brings you out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, I'd be confident as you to say it cost the Raptors this game, Ben, but it sounds like you have other plays as well.
We were cheated, Riker.
Cheated!
We were there, but I have a few OGs in mind for this one. And oh, geez. But I want to get the Precious propaganda back as we're going, because he was great tonight. Obviously, you know, the scoring can come and go. He had a nice clutch bucket at the end, 15 rebounds, as we said, but he had a moment at the end of the half, I believe, where he got the ball. And then, you know, when you're playing rec basketball as a kid, whatever you played, right? Low level, high level, but if you get the ball with the last 10 seconds, even if you're a scrub, you sort of feel like you have the green light to let it fly. The worst shot possible. Shoot the shots you always shoot at halftime. Rarely do we see in the NBA. Usually you throw it to one of your better players or better shot creators. But Precious said, you know what? I'm going back to the old school rec ball, and got the ball with about 10 seconds left. The top of the key at the end to end the half, end the quarter, I believe, or end the second quarter, and then, you know, got doubled. Boucher was open, Fred was open, Pascal was open. Precious had about 5 guys, the whole Miami Heat team on him, and he was spinning around, running from guys, and then hooked up a fadeaway 3 with everyone else on the court open. That made me say, oh geez, in this one, Riker. I don't know about you. Precious always got some highs and lows with his games.
I had confidence it would go in, Ben. It was just such a messy, egotistical shot that I thought this is the kind of shot that's just it feels right. It feels like it should go in. I was disappointed when it didn't, Ben, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Also, Champagne Poppy. An OG's going there. Yeah. Not necessarily to Champagne Poppy, but he went down. I didn't know what it was. He was holding his hand, then he was holding his hamstring, but it ended up being his pinky, I believe. So there's all that. But OG's, to every time we play the Miami Heat, someone gets injured on our team. And now we almost had someone killed in this game with Scottie Barnes. But Champagne Poppy, thankfully, probably if Champagne didn't sacrifice himself earlier to the injury gods, Scottie Barnes would have just been absolutely destroyed. So that's how the basketball gods even things out. But the Miami Heat are just a dirty team. I don't like. There's teams I dislike, like organizations we have the rivalries with, where you know you obviously don't hate any fans, but you love to get going. Celtics fans, Heat fans. I don't really care that much for Miami Heat fans. Like I don't feel like there's a huge rivalry with their fan base, but their team, like I hate the Bucks or you know the Celtics more, but the team, the Miami Heat, like the accumulation of players, I just hate playing against this roster right now.
Yeah, there's usually an injury. I like the intensity of this one. It felt like a playoff environment, and especially with the Raptors fans gone, it was a very fun game to get into. But obviously, you do tread. Remember, we were saying last season we don't want to see the Heat in the playoffs because they're liable to take out half our roster, like legitimately go for the kneecaps, old Irish style. So there is a sense of danger whenever you play this Miami team. And like I said, it's a fine line between playoff intensity and just overtly non-basketball plays, which is certainly what you saw a couple times tonight. So
yeah, and just like consistently with the Heat. Remember I remember game 82, the Raptors had the first seed locked up in the final year with DeMar DeRozan, and then we're going into the playoffs all excited, and then we're like, okay, we want to get that 60 win, right? That first 60 win season in Raptors history, I believe, and we went all out. KC was playing everyone in the final game of the season that was essentially meaningless, and then the Miami Heat ended up injuring Fred VanVleet right before the season, injured his elbow, and he couldn't really shoot that year, and that was a huge part of why the Raptors lost and struggled against the Wizards. Even, you know, we did get swept, so I guess it's not the only reason, but that is what it is. Riker, I think it's time to swing it into that final alarm. Woo 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 woo.
Wee,
Beep, beep,
wee,
beep, beep, beep,
beep,
beep.
beep, beep, beep.
Woo 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 woo. Beep, 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 beep. That's right. The final alarm has gone off. The point of this segment is to read the chat. We are currently liveless, Riker. But do you have any takes, any feelings, any thoughts that went through your brain with the Raptors game tonight? Any thoughts on any trade rumors that have been going around?
Oh, Ben. Well, like, this just shows. Do you really want to trade Boucher? Is that the what benefit is it to the team if we swap out our only bench guy with another guy that's going to come off the bench? We got to find some way to swap our duds for another player or just picks, because it's not going to fly to trade Boucher and bring in a guy like Mo Bamba. It's just not. And a guy like Mo Bamba, he's probably not going to give you 23 points off the bench in this game. So I know a lot of people in the comment section of that last video, they were saying they'd do it in a heartbeat. I think that this just shows you have to be pretty considerate, I guess, with your trades, or even trade one guy for two. I wouldn't touch our top 6 right now, Ben.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. The Boucher is the guy that's out there, but again, I read somewhere. I don't know if it was credible. I was sent a tweet from my dad, actually, essentially saying that Boucher could command $17 million on the open market next season. So
wow.
If that's the case,
goodbye, sir.
and you want to get value back, then I could see Masai Ujiri going in a route for a Bamba or someone else like that. But again, we need bench scores. We can't trade an asset for nothing. And I feel like I was watching this game and I was thinking, what if we could trade, just like last year, TD and Matt Thomas, what if we could trade Svi Water, haven't got to play that animation for a while, for a second round pick, Utah for a second round pick, all those deep bench players, and just get a bunch of seconds and get future Delano Bantons and stuff. Maybe Malachi for a first. Who really knows?
Why not?
Why not? He was a first round pick.
I think I'm starting to think it's time to give Malachi Flynn a second chance, though. I've already sounded off on it, so I don't need to further elaborate. But that's the itch that I'm getting, or the feeling, the gut feeling, and and gut feeling. I also have to use the bathroom, Ben. So we either wrap this one up, or you can continue to ramble. Up to you. I've been trying to hold it in.
Well, on that note, folks, we're going another 20 minutes. No, you guys are the best for making it this far. Check out the Instagram, the Twitter, the TikTok, all that cool stuff. We don't have Race Mode Daily here to give a super chat to keep us going for another 5 minutes. But anyways, subscribe to the channel too. We're very close to 22K subscribers. The Raptors are back, so people are subscribing to Raptors channels again, which is exciting. But we appreciate everyone that watches through the thick and thin. We're also still dealing with technical stuff, so it's going to be crazy by the end of the week once the new computer comes in. Riker, do you need last words on the Toronto Raptors loss?
That's it, Ben. Cheers.